Good afternoon. My name's Bobby, and I've been watching YouTube videos for a while now on repairs and troubleshooting on automobiles, and have found them very useful. Yesterday I was installing a radiator into this truck here, which is my wife and my 1994 Ford F150. We purchased this truck brand new. I know all the history of it. I've owned it for the last 27 years. We've raised 2 children in it, and it has been a very good and reliable truck. However, after 246,000 miles, begin to develop some issues, and in those issues, it has taken us down a lot of rabbit holes and a lot of troubleshooting, a lot of opinion, some that was valuable and did work, and some that was just guessing for the most part. Some I paid professionals for, some I watch YouTube videos for, and some I had help from some friends that know a little bit about automobiles. In short, I wanted to make a quick video before I did the radiator video on some troubleshooting with check engine light and codes that involve the EGR, some of the vacuums, some of the other sensors in the motor. This is a 5-liter V8. Started having some issues with it, having trouble accelerating, some bucking, a little bit of popping, a little bit of backfiring. Kind of felt weird, and you could hear it underneath your feet while you throttled up. Had a couple mechanics look at it. Some of them, suggested different things. All of them were expensive. So I started doing things, replaced a lot of stuff my own. Replaced mass outflow sensor, replaced the EGR, started to replace the EGR Solenoid. At one point in time I had a mechanic replace the throttle body. We've done the idle position sensor. I put a new canister on it. I've redone the vacuum lines. You can still see my old lines on there. I haven't taken them off yet. I'm not even sure they were exactly the problem, but I am going to leave them on. Had the battery die in the meantime, and just yesterday, like I said, I did the radiator. So to make a long story short, and I'm not sure after doing all this if this was my sole problem, but it was the sole thing that seemed to fix my overall problem. I was getting codes for the EGRs and EGR solenoids. Even had some codes for vacuums. I had some codes for NOx sensors. I had people telling me to do all kinds of stuff to it. I've had mechanics look at it and just start to make guesses, and I paid a lot of money into it just to try to get it to where it is today, and it's actually running pretty good, and there's no check engine light. So it all began back last July, about 8 months ago. Seemed to be having some problems. Thought it was the transmission. Took it to a transmission shop. They confirmed that they needed to do transmission work. Had it fully rebuilt by a well-known and well-referred transmission person. But when I got it back, I had a check engine light, and I was chasing that for the last 8 months basically. What it turned out to be, after replacing most of these things that the codes were telling me to do with no real solution, we pulled out the oxygen, the O2 sensor that's just before the catalytic converters, and had a friend of mine suggest that maybe the catalytic converters were clogged, and if we give it a little bit of breath before, by pulling that O2 sensor, we could test drive it and see if that fixed it. And son of a gun, that seemed to work. So we had the catalytic converters taken care of. I ended up having to put a brand new O2 sensor in it to get it to work right. And after that, with the minor exception of a check engine light that was due to a plug being partially unplugged, I got it running good, and no more check engine lights. So if you're experiencing these things, throwing out EGR codes, and they're old, 190, 200, 250,000 miles, I would suggest doing it the exact opposite way I did and go straight to the catalytic converter and pull that off and replace it, and then do whatever you need to do and get that thing fixed with a new catalytic converter or other solution before I started replacing the EGR valves and all these other things. Now the vacuum lines definitely had, a lot of them were cracked, and I was splicing them together, and I finally just decided to run these other vacuum lines like you see here, and I think that makes a big difference. So not sure what the solution was exactly, but I can tell you none of it seemed to work until the catalytic converter plugged up was addressed and corrected. That seemed to fix the bucking, the problem accelerating, the check engine light. I mean, all that stuff seemed to revolve around just a catalytic converter. So start there, and good luck with any repairs. Hope this helps.